Okay, so good morning, everyone. Dzień dobry, and thank you for joining us this morning for the webinar on how to hire and how to employ potential employees, candidates in Poland. My name is Miri, and I'm a co-managing director of EER Global. We help mostly Israeli companies, but not just, to grow outside of Israel. With me, I have Adam, who will start with the first session. He's the local GM of EER Global Poland, and Yael, who is in the customer success team from Papaya Global. Yael, are you with us? Just to say hi. Hi, yeah, okay, great.
Hi, everyone.
So, Yael is joining us to give us her amazing knowledge about employment law, benefits, compensation, everything you need to know. And she will actually lead the second hour. So today's agenda will be as follows. So we are going to start with Adam and myself talking mostly about hiring and how to hire, what are the best methods. A lot of the things we're going to talk about are things that you mentioned in your registration forms, but not just. So we're going to share our thoughts on hiring in Poland with you to give you the most accurate information and tips on what's the best way to hire in Poland. And in the second, we'll break for a few minutes so everyone can make more coffee or tea or wine. And then we'll jump to the second hour with Yael from Papaya Global to talk about employment. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen with you. If you give me a moment. Okay. Okay. And one moment. Okay, so can everyone see my screen now? Perfect. Yes. If you have any questions, feel free to write in the chat. We'll try to address them during the presentation or at the end of the presentation. So, Adam, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, like you said, my name is Adam Gałeczka. I'm an EER partner of EER Global in Poland. And I'm very glad that I have this opportunity to share with you some facts about my country. We can move to the first slide, and I would also like to start with, from my point of view, a few important information about Poland itself. First of all, Poland is divided between two halves. The eastern side of it is less developed than the western side. On the eastern side, the salaries are lower. The infrastructure also is not as well developed as on the western side. And you will probably have bigger problems with finding proper specialists on the eastern side of the Poland. So if you are at the level of planning your investment, you should include this fact into your plans and place your business in the middle, southern or the western side of the Poland at the first place. We are also considered as one of the best programmers in the world. We are usually in the top 3, top 5 of all ranks according to the programmer skills. You can find the sources by yourself, but I wanted to say that you don't need to bother about the quality of the employees in the high-tech industry in Poland. You probably won't be disappointed by this. We are also one of the best places to invest in the world. We are also considered in the ranks just after the India, United Kingdom, and the United States in terms of attractiveness of our country as a place for potential invest. So we are still growing as economy. Hayes asked the recruiters in Poland about their plans for 2022, what kind of specialists they will look for in Poland. So 40% of them will look for an IT experts because IT in Poland and high-tech industry in Poland is stronger than ever before. The competitiveness of the market is very high. but there is still a place to invest, to grow for a new companies. So it is not the end of the world. So there's a space for new companies. The 30% of recruiters will look for salespeople in Poland, and from my point of view, it is a sign of a strong economy, because you do not invest your money into the sales forces if the economy is bad, if the situation of your company is bad. There is still a piece of cake to take from the market, and companies are investing into the sales activities at one of the biggest levels in our history. The gross domestic product of Poland is increased by 8.5% year to year, and we are just after the Portugal in the European Union in the tempo of growth. So we are still growing as a country. Our economy is still in rush. We have a lot of open positions in accountancy and finance and client service positions, because we are also a place of investment for shared service centers mostly. So the HR people are needed also. The logistic operators, and Amazon have a few great logistic investment placed in Poland, and they are hiring about maybe 12 or 15,000 people in our country. And engineering, but engineering is usually directly connected to the automotive industry in Poland. We have few OEMs placed in Poland. OEMs, that means they are the producers of the final vehicles, and a very well developed web of automotive suppliers to these OEMs. So we are closely connected to the global automotive market. And we are also very sensitive according to the situation on the global automotive market today. There is a little slowdown in this sector, and we are also suffering because of this fact. So it may be valuable information for you if you want to, if you consider hiring engineers in Poland. It may be a good time to do this. So okay. Yeah.
Let's looking at 22, which started very well, and now yes, there are some challenges. What do you think are the main hiring challenges in Poland currently in this period of time?
Yes, we are in a very specific situation because of the situation across the eastern border of Poland, because of the war on the Ukraine and post-COVID environment, the situation. And first of all, we are still a very high competitive market. About 95% of companies in Poland wants to hire new employees in this year, in 2022. And that doesn't mean that there will be growth of net value of these employees in companies in Poland, but it also includes the refill of the retention rate. And 74% of all companies are expected having problems with finding the right person. So almost all of the companies present on the market are aware that it is not an easy job to find a specialist, because you need to put more and more effort to find an expert. That's why there is so wide, so narrow specialization also in terms of recruiting people between the recruiting companies in Poland. The inflation is really high today.
Okay,
it's about 15%. We are one of the countries with the highest inflation rates in the European Union. And what does it mean for what it is mean to for you as a potential investors? My recommendation is that you should shorten the decisiveness process in your Polish investments in branches in Poland. Shorten as much as it possible to be able to react as fast as it possible to rapidly changing business environment in our country. you should make your branches in Poland as independent as they can be, to be ready to react in real time, because the flexibility is the most important skill and word also during today's presentation, because you have a so dynamic market. It's more dynamic than ever before, so you should be prepared for this this fact. Also, with your decisiveness process, if it's long and you are not prepared to make decisions during the working day, you may miss a lot of opportunities that markets brings you. Then chaos on the labor market, the high pressure usually provides to great resignation and the burnout of the candidates, along with the passiveness of them. So this is a main problem. Of course, it is also a worldwide trend. It is a problem not only in Poland, but in any other well-developed country with a very well-developed labor market. So this is a quite new challenge in Poland, and we are learning to face it today. But it is a totally new challenge for HR departments. And if you are used to these challenges in your country and you have solutions for them, it may be your pros, and you can use it on Polish market also to overcome this. Yeah,
Adam, when the candidates are so passive, I mean, obviously we as recruiters have to be more and more active. Culturally, do you feel that this is appropriate at the right level, you know, to be very, very proactive? Would candidates feel okay with that? Yeah.
You need to be proactive, because you need to make the candidates active, because the passive candidate, as that from the definition, won't take the first step in the recruitment process. So you need to be proactive. Any kind of recruitment process which ends only on posting a job advertisement will be a totally failure today. Especially if we are talking about the high-tech specialists or an experts in a specific industry. So you need to be proactive to reach them.
From previous, I just wanted to add that from previous conversations that I've had with Adam, you know, bearing in mind the economic situation at the moment, we're still not feeling that candidates are kind of more afraid or changing their minds. It's still very hard to attract them to, you know, specialist jobs in particularly, and of course, programmers. I mean, it's still very competitive and still very much a candidate-led market from our perspective.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
A few data that may be useful for you. 25.9 days. It is a medium time to hire in Poland. We are on the 13th place in the world, but you may be used to them a little bit shortened time to hire proper specialists, because India, Israel, and Romania are in the top 3 of this. Of time to hire in the world. So you should get used to the twice long time to hire that you used to in Israel. And it's not about you, it's about the situation of the market, about the reality of the Poland and our local labor market. So it's not about your decisions, it's not about your strategy. You won't have the same results as you had in Israel. So it will be harder to find out people in Poland, or it will take longer than it used to be in your country, probably. So as I mentioned before, 95% of companies wants to hire new employers this year, and salaries dynamics will be the biggest in our history. The inflation, the 15% of the inflation is the highest rate since the 1998, and and forces a company to include usually more than one salary rises through the year. You need to be prepared to not plan your budget too tight also through the year. Because 65% of all companies in Poland want to increase their salaries this year also. And as you can see, usually the amounts are still below the inflation rates. So they will be probably higher than declared on this chart. Only 3% of companies wants to reduce their salaries this year. Yeah, so they're
still competitive. Okay.
Exactly.
What would you say are the trends currently in Poland in terms of recruitment?
Yes, when we're talking about the trends, first of all, we need to say where they came from. What are the trends? So the trends are usually the response to the market needs, the current market needs. Or threats or the issues or the problems on the labor market. And the two biggest problems are lack of the specialists and the rotation of the employees. So if there is a lack of specialists on the market, you need to use more and more specialized targeted job boards. Today we have a wide variety of job boards to choose from. I will speak about this later on. I will show you what kind of job board should be used to find a specific expert on the market. And the next thing is companies are using more and more automated recruitment tools that's supporting their current projects, because we need to deal with, we need to use the effect of the scale today. And because of that, we need to deal with a large amount of data according to this. And on every level of the recruitment process, we have dedicated tools. For an example, only in EER Global, we use over 7 tools only for sourcing the candidates. And we want to make this process independent from the actions of the recruiter itself, to keep the quality as high as it possible. So if you don't support yourself in automated recruitment, you will be behind your competitors on the recruitment market. It is also a trend, and small companies, of course, can adjust to the reality on the labor market quicker than the corporations, and we also use this fact on our favor in EER Global and EER Poland. Because of the lack of a specialist and the situation on the Polish market, because of the situation on the Ukraine, we have a lot of refugees from Ukraine. So we need to deal with very diverse communities in Poland, and Poland is starting to be more and more multinational society. It's not only about the refugees, but also because of the our situation in the Europe itself. We are starting to be an attractive place to study and work and live for the students from abroad. And it is also a new challenge for HR departments. They need to adjust their recruitment strategy, because the candidates from the different countries, that they have different needs, and then also needs to challenge the need of creating a friendly, diverse-friendly work environment. It is also a quite big challenges, mostly for old-fashioned companies in Poland.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean by recruiting without recruiting? What do you
It's
mean?
all about the employer branding. Employer branding can save today a lot of money of yours if it's managed properly. If your company is considered as a great place to work, it's of course easier to attract the candidates and make them love you, and they will be loyal to your company,
Right.
and you will receive their CVs even without publishing any additional job ads on the job boards.
Okay.
There are few companies on the market who uses the employer branding properly. It's not only about the salaries. Oh, we have a lot of questions during the. Okay.
Adam, what do you think about working from home? I mean, as a trend, what do employees want at the moment from your perspective?
It depends. In high-tech industry, it is a common thing to work from home. Right. We probably prepared also additional slide about the remote
so we
working.
Can talk about it.
Yes.
Okay, no problem. So, I mean, I think that's for me is one of the most important slides in our presentation today. It's the do's and don'ts. The Israeli culture, as you all know, is different from anywhere else. We're different. People say that we're very loud, very assertive, not polite, and many other things. We're very, that we have the guts to do things, which is, there are good things you can say about us too. But then we have to deal with the Polish culture, which is different. It's part of Europe, but it's East Europe. From my experience living in London, meeting a lot of Polish and working with a lot of Polish people, I always had a very good experience, but it would be very good to hear from you, Adam, about your experience and what is the do's and don'ts? What should we do when we work with Polish people? What should we avoid doing?
I think that you can be the most valuable source of the information, because it is hard for me to be objective in this topic. It was the hardest part of this presentation to find what are our differences. So I think we used to be formal, usually at the beginning, distrustful and suspicious. We don't like to chat sheet and go through the small talks, especially at the beginning. We need to gain. You need to gain our trust. We need to get used to you. We need to know you better to feel more comfortable to small talk, etc. And I think you also felt this when we met. It's easy to lose our trust, but we are also very direct in mutual communication. So if there will be something wrong that we think that we need to mention about it, we will mention about it. We will do it. So we won't keep any kind of problems inside of us. So the honesty is honesty is a good part of our culture. High-tech people are very picky, but I think it's a common thing in any different country. The high-tech specialists are receiving about 20 to 50 offers every month, but like you said, it's probably a common thing. We like to be honest, and we like to that anyone is honest with us, so don't try to change the rules in the middle of the game. It is also quite useful for the recruiters, because if you will try to make some kind of small talk during the first contact, you may face ghosting from the candidates. So don't try to do this at the first place. Do not start with chat cheating. Do not start with small talk while speaking with Polish. Try to show respect, proper distance, and the things should be going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think what you said about smiles, that we don't, I mean, this is an important tip for me, that if, I'm a very smiley person, and if someone doesn't smile to me, I immediately think, oh my God, something is wrong. But actually, it's not the case with Polish people. They don't smile a lot. So don't take it as they really like you.
Yes,
So it's important.
we always smile when we are happy. It is also connected with the small talks. We don't like to do the small talks because usually it doesn't have any sense for us. So if there is no reason to talk, we don't talk. Of course, the situation will be different when you will approach the people who work in international environment for a longer period of time. It is an obvious thing. They get used to chat chitting and small talk. And the same is with the smile. If someone is not smiling, that doesn't mean that someone doesn't like you or something similar. They just need to have reason to smile. That's also keep this in mind.
All right, cool, thank you. So let's talk about something very practical. People want to know about job boards. What are the main popular job boards for high tech? I mean, we've had a list here. I mean, you don't need to copy it because I'm going to send you this presentation. But Adam, looking at that list, can you give us some highlights? What's the best one, and what should we use for what? I mean, what's your recommendations here?
Yes, of course. Could you just go back to the previous slide? Probably there was only about the general.
Yes, sorry. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Sorry.
A few years ago, there were only few different job boards that you could use to your work. Today there is on Pracuj.pl, OLX, and the LinkedIn. On the right side, you can see the number of monthly views in millions, but I don't think that the numbers of LinkedIn is appropriate because I think that the number of views is not only recruitment related views. So at the first place, there is a Pracuj.pl and OLX.pl. Maybe on the third place, there will be a LinkedIn app, but they are the general job sites. So if you will try to find HR generalist or an engineer, try to use Pracuj.pl, the chance for the success will be the biggest in this case. On the second place, there will be on OLX.pl. You can also find there a wide variety of positions to choose from. Not only the specialists, but usually it is more common to post jobs for production workers or assembly workers on OLX. And on the third place, the LinkedIn itself, it's getting more and more popular every month. So it is a good platform to be on, and recruiters should be active on the LinkedIn also, of course, especially when you want to find someone in high-tech industry. There is also a RocketJobs.pl, a very fresh, new, and good portal with specialist jobs. If you have some fancy, good-looking, great with great description and well-named position, you should publish it on RocketJobs. It is a daughter portal of Just Join IT. It is a very modern one, good-looking portal, and you should use it to fill your fancy-looking positions in Poland. It is very popular today. So,
okay.
Yes, we can move on.
Yes.
To the IT. There's a lot of IT job boards in Poland. As you can see, there is a Just Join IT for programmers, Bulldog Jobs, No Fluff Jobs, The Protocol, Jobviously, Jobs for Gig, Pracuj.it.pl. Of course, there is also LinkedIn, but on the right side, you can see our recommendation. And I was basing on a report I want to show on the next slide, why to choose No Fluff Jobs and Just Join IT plus LinkedIn to find proper people, and one of the general job sites to just fulfill the market with your job ads. As you can see, the most effective way to reach to the high-tech people, to the IT specialist, is to use Just Join IT and No Fluff Jobs. So the No Fluff Jobs is today #1 of job boards in Poland. The most important row is the last one, cost versus quality. It means that you need to spend 62.9 zlotys in case of just join IT to get one valuable for you and proper CV from the market. So you can only focus on the two recommended by me job sites, no fluff jobs with 46.1 zlotys per quality CVs, per quality CV, and just join IT. And it will be the best place to invest your money in posting a job.
Okay,
so
thank you, Adam.
Maybe it may be useful for you.
Okay, so I would like to talk about agencies. Obviously, we are an agency. Oh, sorry. But some people, can choose to work with us. We are, on one hand, we're Israelis, and on the other hand, we have you as a local person. So we have this mixture. But for those who choose to work with a company who doesn't have any relation to Israel and doesn't know the drill, doesn't understand the Israeli culture, what do you recommend for them? I mean, obviously, we work and we understand both sides, but some people, choose to work with local people. So what do they expect from their clients?
I think the same things as your headhunting companies. The relation between the client and the headhunting company is the same as in your country. You need to set up your requirements very clearly via an email to avoid the final disappointments and to set up your requirements in the one place. You need to set the time frame and the deadlines that you are interested in, and wait for the confirmation of your deadlines from the headhunting company. It is also very important to make it done before the signing the contract. A recruiter should recruit, and you should check it, because today in our company, for an example, recruiters are only focused on the job. They do not do usually the sourcing process, because it is automated. They are not the salespeople, because we have dedicated business development managers to do it for them. They are only specialists in the job. But the situation on the market is maybe different, because we have called recruiters 360, and they are responsible for sales, for the delivery, for the sourcing, and they are specialists in all of them, in the whole process, and they cannot focus on the right job properly. It may be a problem in the expert positions that you will need to fill in your company. Set a communication pattern between you and your headhunting company. You need to have the person who is responsible for the contact from your side, and so you need to set a person who will be responsible for contact with your company on the side of the headhunting company. You should also care about it just before you start the cooperation. Be responsive, because the life cycle of the candidate is very short. Probably you have the same issue in your country. It may be the matter of 1 day, 2 days, but if you are responding after the 3 days of receiving the first CVs, it may be too late. The candidates may be in a different place, or maybe hired by your competitors. So try to be as responsive as it possible for you, and check what you are paying for. If there are some kind of cancellation fee, you should check it. That's the most important part of an agreement with a headhunting company. It should be short and clear. And try to also cooperate only with companies with a profile of the candidate included in the final agreement. It is also an important thing to know.
Thank you for all the people who are writing in questions in the chat. I promise that we will address them. So just so you know, we're not ignoring them. We will address them shortly. So what do you say is their recommended hiring process? Is it similar to what we do in Israel in terms of stages and so on?
It's probably exactly the same. References,
Okay.
check, interviews, the feedback to the candidate and to the clients. The client will set up the new steps of the process. Next, if someone is accepted after the interview with the client, you need to make an offer to a candidate. So make it as simple as it can be, because the time is crucial here and simplicity, nothing else. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So what would you recommend, would be in terms of employee retention? It's hard enough to recruit someone in Poland or anywhere else on the globe, but then we have to retain them for as long as possible.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
What do Polish candidates or employees would look at in terms of things that would motivate them to stay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the cost of the finding new talent is significantly higher than keep them in your company in proper way, or prevent the retention of them. So first of all, be in touch with your employees, make your HR department involved in the whole process of onboarding, induction, and even an exit interview. Of course, it is crucial to know what makes your employees leave. So be in still contact and be visible. Make them feel that you are involved in their everyday's responsibilities, everyday's work. Show them that you are understanding their work at the first place. Be flexible, try to adjust to the situation on the market. As I mentioned before, you need to be ready to change the rules of the game, also according to the relation with your employees. There may be the situation where when someone will need someone extra day off, you should give them what they want, especially because most of you are probably from the high-tech industry, and you need to treat specialists and experts in high-tech industry in a very special way also. So take care of your employees' needs and well-being. So try to support their mental health, and you could also, for an example, assure them a free session of psychology consultation or similar additional benefit. It may make some kind of difference in longer period of time. Show them your appreciation on in every aspect of their work. Try to make them connected to the newest technologies, that they know they are up to date with the most modern innovations on the market. And try, if it's only possible, to involve your employees in decision-making process. It makes them more loyal. They will have the feeling that they can make any kind of change in the company.
Sure.
So I think it is very important to involve them in this.
So I would like to talk about the effects of the war in Ukraine about hiring in Poland. And in particularly, there was a question raised from the audience. If the fact that people are coming from Ukraine, is it a blessing? Is it helping the recruiting process because we have more candidates in the market? Or, I mean, how does it affect the market in general? It would be good to hear.
Okay. First of all, after the 24th of February, where the Russian invades the Ukrainians, special act has been adopted by the Polish government, and every person who crossed the Polish border was considered as a refugee. So we don't need any extra documents to hire them. You can hire them directly, just after one day after you reach them. So it is really a simple process. to hire refugees. We have about 2.5 millions of refugees in Poland today. Mostly they are women and children, of course. And there is about 800,000 ready to work employees today. So they want to be active, they want to be independent in Poland. So they are looking for different jobs. About 25% of them are working today. So as you can see, they came to Poland not only to, of course, mainly because of that they had to do it to save their lives, but they are ready to work here. They won't wait till the war will end, but they are ready to work. So you can use this fact on your favor if you will, for an example, have the possibility to hire women. It will be a good time to do it. If it's possible to train people from Ukraine, women from Ukraine, to your specialized positions, you will gain a loyal employees, and there is a lot of people who are waiting for the job right now. So it is good way to start investing in Poland if you have open for women work positions in your company. Yes, sure. And they are usually high educated people. No?
Okay. Yes, of course. Okay. So first of all, thank you, Adam. I would like to keep the last 15 minutes to questions. I would like to start with questions that raised during the
okay.
Discussion and to ask you, and then of course for a few minutes, and then we would open it for questions for the crowd. Someone asked if we can share a cost difference between instant costs. What are the common percent of salary that we answered the increase, but what are the difference between, you mentioned that one part of Poland is cheaper than the other. What would say in percentage, what would you say the differences are?
I think it will be from 10 to 15%.
Okay, 10 to 15%. Okay.
It depends on the industry, of course.
Okay.
If we are talking about the high tech, because of the remote work, the differences are not so high.
Okay. So we mainly talk about high tech and technology. Obviously, we see Poland as a hub, but we also know that there's a heavy industry related employers there. And people are asking, can you tell us about production employees? What are the challenges? What would you recommend for someone, in terms of even location? Where would you recommend to open a facility or a plant?
Okay.
If we're talking about production.
Yes, I think I will need some more details about this question, because I can really answer it in a very detailed way. I know this industry very well, so I need to know some details. What kind of production, what kind of employees you will need to fill up your roles. If the women, of course, there is a larger number of women available on the market. Only when we look at the Ukrainian refugees, but not only on them. There always was higher number of unemployed women in Poland. So I would need to know a few details about this.
Okay, so the person who asked, I think maybe it will be wiser if you take it offline and approach Adam directly or me, and you can have a conversation and we'll take it with you.
Yes, for an example, if it will be some kind of industry connected with an automotive industry, and you can pay well for the production employees. You can put your factory near one of the main location where all the automotive industry is gathered, and you will overpay the actual experienced workers and convince them to work in your factory. It can be really an easy thing. So I need to know the salaries, the profiles of needed employees to make a detailed.
Sure. Okay. We talked in our presentation about automated recruitment. So people are asking, how do candidates from Poland react to that? Do they collaborate? And what kind of automated recruitment do you recommend to use?
It depends, because automated recruitment tools can be used at all of the levels of recruitment process. So you have about maybe 20 to 30 different tools to use at every level of your recruitment process. Of course, I do not recommend to use the automated recruitment tools to direct communicate with a proper candidates. It won't be a good choice. Mostly because that does and don'ts, because nobody wants to speak with a robot, for an example, you know. But in case of sourcing, we can make some recommendations in terms of for an example, tools for CRM, some kind of recruitment marketing tools. We can make some recommendations about the applicant tracking systems. It is also a wide market and wide variety of tools that you can choose from. And so we also need to know some details about these questions, because we could speak about 100 different tools to choose from. It will be hard today.
Okay. So we talked about employer brand, and you mentioned that it's very, very important to invest in that. Can you give an example of one or two companies that have a really good employer brand in Poland, so they can learn from that company?
Yeah, one of the job boards I presented. You can see, for an example, no fluff jobs. Try to find some information about the employer branding. KGHM, Polska Miedź, they are one of the biggest heavy industry company in Poland, but it is a governmental company, but everyone wants to work there, mostly because of the salaries, but not only because of that, because of the additional benefits, etc., etc. So I can also send you a few details after a quick research to that will be most understandable for you with the companies who use also employer branding in English, that you can directly check what they are doing and how you can learn from the actions.
Okay, that would be great. In terms of office space, people are asking whether in Krakow can you find, like in Israel, it's very common that companies would start in the likes of WeWork or any other shared office spaces. How easy it is to find shared spaces in Krakow or any other main city in Poland?
Very easy. There is a lot of high-tech industry in Krakow, in Warsaw, Wrocław, and even Katowice, because for an example, Katowice itself are developing themselves very, very rapidly, and they also built a great number of new offices for the new investors. But shared offices are also a common thing in Poland, so it won't be a greater issue, a greater problem to find a proper one also in Krakow.
Okay. So the next question I have is around the employment, and I think maybe later on Papaya can elaborate on that, but you can elaborate from candidate side. We know that tax-wise, a lot of potential candidates wants to work as they call it B2B. So
yes,
they
exactly.
prefer to be not employed directly by the company for tax reasons. How common is that? I can already see it's common, but from your perspective, how common is that? Should companies really do that with their potential employees? Should they really accommodate that, or what's
yes, of course, yeah.
Okay.
It should be you should give your candidates or employees a choice here. It is a very common thing, and mostly on mid and senior positions. So you should give the possibility to choose whether someone wants to work on work agreement or the B2B contract, because the differences are the biggest salary, the bigger difference between a B2B contract and the work agreement. So usually the mids and the seniors are choosing the B2B contract to work on. It is a common thing in Poland.
Okay, it's important to know. In terms of reference check, people ask whether, is there anything, first of all, do companies give verbal reference? And if yes, is there anything you should not ask during that conversation?
You mean the references from the previous employers?
Yes. Let's say you're calling them. Is it applicable to call or not provide a written reference? Or, and when you do call, is there anything you shouldn't be asking?
Okay, I think it is a hard question because it is not a common thing to call to the previous employers in Poland. It may be a hard thing to do. I even need to try to find the information. Is it even legal?
I see. Okay, so we will check that and get back to people.
Yeah.
In turn, people are asking about the law in terms of comp and spends. That would be in the second hour.
Exactly.
And it will be explained by Papaya Global. I would like to see whether people have other questions besides the questions in the chat that they would want to ask Adam. Does anyone wants to ask something? Any feedback?
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Yes, of course.
Which
Can
are
you say your
let's
name
say,
and where are you from?
Sorry, Ruti from Tomia.
Yeah.
And open the camera just a second. The question that I have is, which are the top employers? And I think the top employers, you said that there are employers which are maybe considered as the top employer per definition or per employee status. But when you think about the top companies that are really don't have any difficulties to hire, who are they?
With the highest salaries, like I mentioned, the KGHM, they are in the metal industry, so it's one of these companies. One of the biggest IT companies in Poland, also in the game dev industry, like CD Projekt, because of the Witcher game, etc., etc. They are well known, and they have also a very competitive salaries on the market. We have very strong game dev in Poland, so there is also a company called People Can Fly. They are very strong in Poland. So there is really great number of companies that are considered as good employers. If you will send me in a private message request for a specific industry, I can send you a list of best employers in the specific industry.
I will send everyone's Adam's number so you can continue to ask him questions later.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, because we are, there is 40 million of people in Poland today because of the refugees. This number are growing, and we have only 5.3 of unemployment rate. So the number of companies working in Poland, it's a great number. It is hard to find one or two specific example. So if you want to detailed information, I will give it to you, but I need also a specific question. So no problem. I have a lot of different reports from different markets. So for sure, I will find something useful for you as well if you just contact me directly. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Can I?
Yes, Jess.
Yeah. Hi, Adam. Jess
Hello.
Jones, EER Global. Hi. So listen, Adam, I wanted to ask about kind of candidate engagement in terms of the reach out, that recruiters can do. What's the most successful? What's the most common? So is it like, is it a LinkedIn message? Is it an email? Is it appropriate to phone or send SMS messages to candidates? That sort of thing. And I'm kind of thinking that sort of like foregrounding the information, very specific about the kind of company, the position, that this would work best in the market rather than something more soft and, let's say, fluffy. So I would like to confirm that with you. And also, do candidates kind of expect to have a sense of the salary range? As I know in Germany, increasingly candidates want to see the salary range being mentioned very, very early because they want to know roughly where they're at. And that's quite typical for the German market. So I'd like to know if it's similar.
Okay. I will start from the salaries ranges. It is just starting to be a common thing in Poland right now. It was not. So we are changing rapidly in this way, and I think your good practice should be to make it visible and even at the stage of posting the job advertisement. So yes, it is a common thing, especially in high-tech industry, where you will meet most of the passive candidates on the market. So just try to share your salary ranges as soon as it's possible to avoid misunderstandings and avoid ghosting. And how you should approach the candidates. I think there is no rules today, because the competition is so big. You should use only what is working. Usually, I didn't get any kind of phone messages from potential recruiters. Usually, it was contact via the LinkedIn or the phone directly. But you need to be prepared for a question, where did you get my phone number? And it may be hard for you to answer. So any way that will work. So
okay,
nothing else.
So we have time for one last question. If anyone wants to.
B2B freelancing.
I would like to.
Who is I? Can you say your name and your company?
Maya from Harman.
Hello.
Hi, Maya.
Hi, how are you? So first of all, this is very interesting, all the things that have been said so far, so thank you.
Thank you.
As far as B2B, we are facing a lot of challenges around this topic, mainly because that B2B cannot be part of, because they are freelancers, they cannot be part of your internal systems. You cannot give them like an annual bonuses. So it's not the status of B2B has a lot of implications in terms of, you know, the internal processes and tools and everything that's around it. So it's much beyond how you are employed. And
Okay.
this there's a lot of implications that I don't know how companies are dealing with. So I would be happy to hear from you.
Okay. There is a lot of things that you can make a similar situation for the person who is working on a work agreement and on B2B contract. You can include a lot of things in a B2B contract with the same benefits, the same bonuses as the person on the work agreement. I know a few experts from this area, so I also can send you a few detailed examples of how it works in reality, how to include the same benefits and compensations like people have on working contracts. It can be done. Companies are doing this all over the market, so it can be done. It shouldn't be any kind of problem. So I will just send you some detailed examples of
I would be happy.
Because I'm not an expert in that. But usually you can cover all of these things by specific B2B contract with your contractor.
And it doesn't cause any employee-employment relationship afterwards? Let's say that
No.
if it doesn't work out and then he is terminated or leaves, can he claim to be an employee?
Usually it is, of course, it is more flexible way of working, of course, that's for sure. But you can also include in a B2B contract a specific notice period. So person can a specific employee who works basing on B2B contract can feel as much comfortable as the someone on a working contract, and the choice is up to them. So they usually want to work on B2B contract because of this flexibility I'm talking about, and because of the extra salaries they receive because of the differences on the taxation. So usually employees want to choose B2B contract and they feel more comfortable with it. Usually it is only dedicated to high-tech industry. And it would be, in sometimes, it would be more comfortable for employer to hire someone on work contract, because the bond between you and the employee will be stronger in this situation. But today, as you know, high-tech people are choosing their employers.
Yeah. Okay, so in order to maintain the timeline, I think we would stop here. If anyone has further questions to Adam, I will send you, or you can either approach me, but I will also send you Adam's mobile number, so you can approach him directly. So I'm suggesting we'll take a few minutes break. So can we meet here 10 minutes past 11 for the second part that deals with employment, comp and bends, and will be presented by Yael Twig from Papaya Global. So let's just take 5 minutes and see you here in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was brilliant.
Thank you, Adam. It was really great.
Thank you, Adam. It was amazing.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi לכולם, welcome back. So we have one more minute. Yeah, I can see you're suited and booted and ready.
Hi, if I can share my screen.
Sure, כן, אבל האמת שאנחנו יכולים לעבור לעברית, אם תרצי.
את חושבת?
כן, תכלס. לא, whatever works for you. I think we do have some people, I think we do have some guests, international guests, so maybe not. So let's
we can remain in English if someone wants to.
Yeah, I just remembered we have few international guests, so let's keep it in English. Anyway, the presentation is in English. So let me give you the right to be a co-host. Okay. So hi everyone, thank you for coming back. We're happy that you're here. I'm happy to be here. I would like to introduce Yael Twig from Papaya Global. Yael is part of the customers and managing the customer success team. And Papaya Global is a company, and she will explain in more details, but they provide employment and salary services worldwide. Obviously, they are a unicorn managed by, it's the only unicorn in Israel managed by a woman, which is even more exciting. And Yael, the stage is yours. Dazzle us.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great, thanks. So thank you, Adam, for a very interesting presentation. I will be happy to share a bit about Poland and who we at Papaya are. So again, it's nice to meet everyone. I'm Yael, I'm from the Center of Excellence at Papaya. We are an expert team that is actually managing all the local regulations on compliance, legal regulations, country-specific, knowledge, benchmarking, and cost simulation to our clients. We are constantly updating our knowledge hub with the most recent updates. We will, of course, have some time for questions later on. So what will be the agenda for today? We will discuss a bit about the country overview, about Poland, and later on we'll move to the common benefits.
Yael, I think you need to press the present button so it will be visible on the main screen for everyone. Just present.
I'm presenting, but for some reason...
It's not a big difference, but...
אני לא רואה את ה...
Alright, that's it.
Okay.
You see?
Is that
I didn't do
okay for
anything.
everyone? Okay, perfect.
Everyone sees?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, first of all, I would like to discuss about the country overview, the general guidance, how is it to employ in Poland, and later on we'll go into the common benefits. So, first of all, I would like to say that in Poland, the general population, it's roughly 38 million, and according to the fourth quarter of 2021, over 70% of Poles were employed. The largest group of employed people were Poles between the ages of 35 to 44, and this is according to the Trade Economist as of May 2022. So let's start and talk about the working times in Poland. How do you work in Poland? So it's a weekly working hours.
Sorry, Yael, people are telling me it's not present mode. Is it difficult for people to see the presentation this way still?
You can change it in the display settings and do full mode display.
Yeah, not tell me what I should do before, because
if you go display settings
display
and full
settings.
screen.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you. You see now? Maybe I will ask my friend here what he sees.
Now it's worse.
Yeah, now we don't see we see a lot of slides.
On the top, you have display settings on the top.
Yes, on the arrow. You need to click on the arrow below, I think, and then you will have the ability to
It's on the top, Yael.
Go to the top bar. Display settings.
On the right.
Go to the
One
right.
to the right, display settings.
Next one.
Apps, I don't see it here. Do you see it? I don't see it, so I don't know why, what happened here.
It's on the right next to show taskbar.
Here it is. Up.
I don't see it.
Go up.
Maybe you can end the slideshow and restart. Exactly, yes.
If you click on
For some reason it's different. I don't know why. So I apologize for the inconvenience here. I will maybe start again.
Okay, start again.
I will stop the presentation maybe, and we will.
Sure.
Just learn from present online from the beginning. don't know what happened.
And now you can click on presentation mode at the bottom.
From the
יעל, למטה, ליד הסרגל שמראה לך את הרזולוציה שלה, שאיפה שרשום לך 37%.
איפה? אז זהו, אני לא רואה, אוקיי.
את רואה למטה, תזוזי טיפה שמאלה, את רואה מין מחשב,
זהו.
בדיוק, על זה תלחצי, קצת שמאלה.
אוקיי, this one?
לא, לא.
זה, תלחצי.
בדיוק.
This what exactly I did before, so I don't know. Do you see my screen now?
It's
Just a
thinking about
second.
it,
Or is it the same?
trying to change.
This is exactly what I did, so I don't know exactly what happened.
Do you want
I'm
me
so
to
sorry.
share my screen with your presentation?
Maybe, just a moment.
Okay.
I
Guys,
have
is
here
that
a
okay?
colleague. What?
I'm just asking the people in the crowd, is that okay?
No, because we can see her next slides and notes.
All right.
I don't think this is her intention is.
No,
Okay.
but this is really essential. Let me just stop the sharing and try again, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
Okay, let's see again. Try.
Yeah, before you before you share the presentation, you need to disable presenter view. You see at the top in the toolbar, you have monitors, and there's this checkbox, use presenter view. Yeah, you need to disable the use presenter view. Okay, right side, you say you have monitors. In monitors, there is use presenter view. Uncheck that box.
I'm not sure where here. I have more. Do you see my screen now, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Take your mouse to the right. There is monitors. In the toolbar,
Monitors.
you see a checked box saying use presenter view. Uncheck that box.
I don't see anything.
Just move to the right. Here, you're almost there. Yes, uncheck this box. That's it. It's gonna work now.
Okay, so again, I'm truly apologizing for everything. Tell me now what you see.
No, it's not good again. You need to, I don't know what happened, but you still don't see it.
Just
like
now,
supposed to
just
be.
go to present it. Just present it now.
Yeah.
Presenter view. This one, check it. I don't know what happened.
No, don't check it back. Don't check it back. Uncheck it and share the presentation.
What do you see now? Which kind of slide? What do you see? You
We
see
see it
yourself.
like it's
now-
another PowerPoint.
Yeah,
We
now
don't
click,
see it like
present.
it's supposed to screen.
It was working. So
Yeah, just click
I
the
will stop
present.
sharing. I will send now online. I will send it to Miri.
Is it what you sent me in the morning?
Yeah, you can do that as well.
Okay, so give me a moment. Sorry, guys, bear with us. It's coming out as a PDF, I'm afraid. You sent it as a PDF.
Yes.
So I think, so is it okay? Like if I share it as PDF?
That's why I think I should send you the latest version. Again, I truly apologize for this inconvenience. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So let me share it quickly with you, Miri.
Okay, fine.
Be better. And again, 2 more minutes.
Okay,
We will
no
be with you.
problem.
It's very strange because we did have a prep on this one. So I don't know. Maybe it's because it was with Teams, not with Zoom.
Maybe. Okay, I'm waiting to get it. Yeah, did you send it? Yeah, I got it.
You received it?
Yeah, I'm opening. Okay, let me just share my screen. Now I'm going to. Okay, so we were here, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, as I just said, we will discuss a bit about how it is to employ in Poland, and of course, the general population of Poland, and then following, we will of course go into the common benefits. So, do I have the rights? Great. Okay, so let's now start to talk about the working time in Poland. So the weekly hours in Poland are 40 hours per week, and an average 5 days of working. It's Monday to Friday. And it's mandatory to track time and attendance per the law, including paid time off. It's very important also to say that overtime, it's not something common in Poland. However, if it's performed, the employer must know that he will need to pay the worker a 100% salary or a compensation with additional days off. Moving to the next slide. Great, thank you. So now we'll also discuss about the payroll contributions. This is actually the statutory contributions that both the employer and the employee will need to pay through the Social Security, of course. The employer contributions are circa 22%, and it's including the pension insurance of 9.76, the disability pension insurance of 6.5, and an accident insurance, which is a rate of 0.67 to 3.33. However, it depends on the nature of the employment and on the numbers of employee, and the Social Security has the right to choose which type of employment it is, and then accordingly give the specific rate. On top, there is of course also labor fund of 2.45%. The employee deduction are circa 23%, and they are including the pension insurance of 9.76, a disability pension insurance, of course, of 1.5, and a sickness insurance of 2.45. On top, there is also a health insurance, which is only paid by the employer, of 9%. This type of statutory contributions are only paid, of course, by a regular type of employment. I'm not discussing any type of employment which is related, for example, to business, B2B. On top, employees are also subject to income tax at a rate between 17 to 32%. So this is very important to share this as well. It's important to say at this stage that when you are employing someone through a B2B agreement, which is also known as a contract of services, as Adam also discussed in the beginning, it's also important to understand that this kind of service means that the employer will be solely responsible to submitting his social contribution and taxes. His actual net will be different from a regular employee. However, he's not accruing any kinds of right in terms of sick days or vacation. And there's also the liability that if something will happen to this type of worker, you will then, as an employer, maybe even be jeopardized as in a lawsuit or something like that, because he can come eventually and claim all kinds of things because you were so-called the employer in some case. So it's important to understand that there is a difference, and so also take this into account when you want to employ a person in Poland, although I assume that many employees would prefer to be on a business-to-business agreement. So, great. So we'll continue and talk about the paid time off. The paid time off in Poland, we're talking about public holidays. There are 12 public holidays in Poland. And a very interesting thing is about Poland is that if public holidays fall on a Saturday, then the employer is obligated to give a day back on another occasion. Usually it should be within the same month. And it's very important also to say that If for some exception a worker will need to work during a holiday, which is something which is very, very extreme, then according to the labor code, it says that 1 day of leave should be given to the worker because of this day of work as a compensation. Another very unique thing I would like to share about annual leave vacation in Poland is that actually the number of annual leave is linked to the employee has worked or studied, which means that if a worker has already a master's degree or has been in university for 8 years, it really means that he has already a work experience of 8 years, which means that if he will be working for a specific company or even working for 2 different companies with each 2 years, it means that he has already 10 years of experience and he will be entitled to 26 days of working of paid leave. And if it's less than 10 years of work experience, then he will be entitled to 20 working days of paid leave. Now, any unused day of annual leave can be carried over to the following year until the 30th of September. Okay, great, thank you. Now going into the sick leave. The sick leave in Poland, as in many other countries, all workers are entitled to paid sick leave. Of course, I'm talking about common employment type of contract, not as a B2B, of course, and the rate should be 80% of the salary, though in specific cases like maternity or if it's a work-related accident, then the worker will receive a salary which will be even at a rate of 100%. Workers who are under the age of 50 are entitled to receive sick leave by the employer up to 33 days. And from the 34 days and onwards, it's paid by the Social Security. If a worker who is older than 50 years, then the entitlement is up to 14 days paid by the employer. And then from the 15 days and onwards, it's paid by the Social Security. Now, I would like to say that it's quite uncommon by employer to top up this sick leave, which means that if they want to top the salary to 100% of the sick leave, it's not something very common, I would say, in Poland, and usually employees receive the 80% and that's it. Of course, there is also childcare leave, which is something specific and unique in Poland. Parents can take up to 2 days per year to take care of their children under the age of 14, and it's paid at a rate also of 80% of the salary. However, only one of the parents can utilize this policy, and if there are any unused day, they cannot be carried over to the following year. The parental leave. The parental leave is something the parents are entitled to take up to 32 weeks of a parental leave after utilizing the maternity or paternity leave. And it's paid at a rate of 100% for the first 6 weeks. And at the remaining time, it's being reduced to 60%. However, a worker has the ability to request an official request to the Social Security and to submit it no later than 21 days after the birth. So now we'll get into the maternity leave. We can go another slide. Thank you so much. The maternity leave. Female employees are entitled to the maternity leaves, and it's linked to the number of children born or adopted. So if it's a one child adopted or born, it's 20 weeks of maternity leave. If it's more, then it should be 31 weeks. I'm talking about, of course, 2 children or twins. This leave cannot be taken before 6 weeks before the due date, and workers should take at least 14 weeks of maternity before returning to work. The Social Security is covering this cost at the rate of 100%, and the workers continue to accrue rights during the maternity leave. Paternity leave is something the father is entitled to take, and it's 2 weeks of leave within the 24 months after the child has been born, and it's paid 100% by the Social Security. I would like also to say that there is also, of course, special leaves that the worker can take if it's a wedding of close family members, or God forbid, a funeral or a training of leave. Usually it's 2 days, but it really depends on the type of the leave. And now I would like to get into a more pleasant topic, but it's also part of our daily life. So can we move forward? Miri, to the next slide, which is the termination. So termination, both the employer and the employee must give notice according to the same timeline. The notice period is determined by the works of length of the service. The interesting thing is that the notice must be given in hand to employee or sent via registered post, and the notice period starts when the employee receives the letter. Now, if an employer would like to terminate an employee with immediate effect, it's very important to understand that in this case, the letter of termination should indicate in a very specific, clear, and just details why this termination is immediate, because in a later stage, if it's coming to court, you cannot raise any kind of further information or clarification why this termination was performed as it was. During a probation, in terms of giving notice, if it's up to 3 months, it's 3 working days. After probation to 6 months of service, it's 2 weeks of notice is required. And if it's more than 6 months, which up to 3 years of service, it's 1 month notice is required. And more than 3 years of service, it's 3 months of notice is required. The severance pay in Poland is not something which we commonly see. It's only in certain circumstances, like in a collective labor agreement or at redundancy. And the severance amount is also determined by the worker's length of service, and it's usually between 1 to 3 months of pay. And now I'd like to share a bit about the benchmarking of common benefits in the high-tech industry and how you can retain and be attractive to talents within Poland. So first of all, I would like to share that there is, of course, medical health plan coverage, which is very common in Poland. And the average sum is between 50 to 100 euros per month for worker. Some also offers family coverage too to the workers. There's also, of course, working from home allowance between 50 to 100 euros per month. This is also according to the flexible working hours, according to the new setup that we are seeing all around the globe about working from home, and understanding that today it's very, very trendy to work from home, and it's also part of being taken care of in a worker in terms of work-life balance. So, of course, we also can see a health and fitness allowance between 30 to 50 euros. In some cases, also a car allowance can be given to workers between 100 to 500 euros. Phone and internet allowance, which is also linked to working from home at, I would say, approximately 20 to 100 euros per month. And also something we also see now lately is a home office setup. If workers need to work from home, then you should also consider also giving him a 1,000 euro at the start of the employment or every year, because he will need to take care of a computer sometimes, or to take care of a desk and so on. It's also very common, or even in some cases mandatory, to provide an employee capital plan, which is something called PKK. It's a contribution to a pension plan on top of the social statutory contributions, and it's financed partly by the worker and partly by the employer, and also the rates are a bit different. So I would now like to talk about who we are as Papaya. So Papaya is a leading provider of innovative total workforce management solution, allowing you to manage your employees from onboarding to payments in more than 160 countries. Our offices are worldwide. We're working in Israel, of course, in the UK, in Australia, in the US, Germany, Singapore, and more. And our services include, first of all, payroll. We are processing payroll in countries where you have a legal entity, for example. We can employ workers in a compliant way without having an entity for you as a client. And also we take care of IC management and payment of invoices, HR administration, benefits, legal support, immigration services, etc. And all of these are actually provided through our platform in a very user-friendly way. We ensure payroll compliance, data security, and this is in order for you to make the right decision in today's fast-paced and hyper-growth environment. Among our clients, I would like also to share in our next slide. We have clients like Hopin, Datadog, Wix, Microsoft, Deezer, Kaltura, and many, many more. We have a funding of more than 440 million. We are operating in more than 160 countries, and we have more than 1,000 customers. So that's about us as Papaya. So that's it, and I would be happy to hear any questions. And I apologize for the start of the presentation, which was not very pleasant, but this is sometimes how it goes in life.
I would like to add that I see Papaya as a very good partner. It's just because we're like very close. We do close things and we kind of comply with each other. And every time I always ask why refer someone to them, they always explain, and they have this enormous information, and they're always available. And even if you don't work with them, you can always ask questions, you know, about employment anywhere in the globe, and they have that knowledge. So feel free to be in touch with Yael. Just, you know, if you have any questions about that. Someone is asking, what's Papaya business model?
So I think we have our colleague Ron from our sales executive team. I would be happy if he can take the stage at this point. Ron?
Hi, Al. Thank you for doing such a great job presenting the employment overview on Poland. Papaya's model, or I would say a little differently than a model, what we ultimately do is provide a platform. We're a technology company that gives global companies a platform to manage all employment models. So all their workers, whether it's legal entities spread out through the world, or you need to employ without setting up a legal entity through employer of record services, or even handling contractors. So you get one piece of technology to manage your whole workforce, and then you have a dedicated team with subject matter experts such as Yael that are dedicated to your growth and to your management. So that single point of contact, really to handle that local compliance. Global companies need a standardized workflow to just manage the pay cycle, but you also need a lot of local expertise. So that is, in a sense, Papaya's model. We give you technology and a dedicated team. And then for the service in every country, we have a local CPA, a local partner that'll actually do the service delivery. And this balance of technology and dedicated service has really supported global companies through hypergrowth and through creating a more scalable internal process.
So is it like we buy a software, we buy the platform, or it's per license? How does it work? Is it per employee, number of employees?
Yeah, it's per employee. So if you needed to employ workers without setting up an entity, we could support you and provide employer of record services where we would onboard them on your behalf. This is a lane that many global companies are using. Even before pandemic, you had the need to hire talent where it was, and more remote workforce elements and flexible scenarios were more prevalent, but with the pandemic, this has become a toolkit for most global companies. And additionally, where you have legal entities, the pricing or how we generate our revenue would be per worker, per the pay slip of the worker. So the technology and the dedicated team is all included, and the pricing is always just based on, for where you have a legal entity, it would be per pay slip and year-end compliance. And then if it's just for onboarding workers where you don't have a legal entity, it would be cost per worker as well.
And it's also for Israel? Let's say it's like Chilan in Israel?
So that's a really good question. So what we would do is we have a company like Chilan or like Mazars or UHY, local CPAs in over 160 countries. So we have done the work in every location to find a company like Chilan, and we do the due diligence, and then they're on our platform. So you get to get the information to Chilan or to the equivalents in all the different countries in the world. Yeah. Through our platform. It's secure data. We have integrations. It really simplifies. You don't need to be having a bottleneck and dealing with local providers. And through our platform, the data goes to the Chilans of the world and then comes back for your review. So it's essentially you get the local expertise of Chilan all around the world, but you don't need to talk to 10 providers, 20 providers. I mean, just there's a bottleneck that occurs with local suppliers that at some point the global company is going to need to have a partner for. And that's where we come in.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions that relates to employment, best practices in employment? What should we give to employees in Poland? That would be the right time to ask.
I see that we have a question about the social security in terms of the parental leave.
Okay.
So basically it depends on the setup of the company, and I would also say how many workers are employed, because if it's usually a small size of a business, then it will be paid by the employer. However, it will be through a channel, because it's paid by the Social Security. It really depends on the setup. But we can give you some more information if it's something you are insisting of, with pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? That
I have another question. If
yes,
it's okay.
sure.
What should we as an employer make sure to avoid the B2B becoming, and I'm asking this because sometimes, you know, we have long-term people that work for the same person, only one employer, and then in other countries, they can say, well, we were employees, so now when you terminate me, please pay me all the benefits that a regular employee got. So what should we as an employer avoid doing or do in order to make sure that it's not happening?
So basically hiring in a compliant way. We as Papaya are always being compliant. We're trying our best to have every employer and employee in terms of our clients that they will comply to employ in a compliant way. And I would even say that we had cases that we said to employees that would like to be in as a B2B that we cannot do it because it's not compliant. And what will happen if in any event a worker will come, as you just said, and come and say, we are now employers because we had a work accident or something similar, and then they will sue or other situations. So we don't go this direction at all.
And I can even add to what Yael is saying. It is quite, she's absolutely right. We do recommend the compliant manner, which would be to always extend a full-time worker a local employment contract in which they would be granted these rights of severance, of notice, all the local processes. It is common in the startup world when you have a bootstrap company, or the burden rate is the priority. So you'll non-compliantly just hire contractors to get a payment solution, just to pay them for the work. At a certain stage of development and of fundraising, having all the workers in good standing with compliance becomes a necessity for the next rounds of financing. And also when you have the resources, you want to be investing in these workers for better retention and long-term growth. So the direction towards compliance definitely is something usually companies that are a little further past the seed funding, they're into Series A, Series B, they've reached 30 to 50 workers, they're about to double, they're about to grow. And just having a contractor that's a full-time employee is no longer, it's just no longer a best practice. It was kind of a survival practice of the onboarding talent and paying them. And then at a certain point, just the compliance and the long-term culture and retention of these workers becomes a priority. And that's really where we come in our services support.
Any other questions? Okay. So Yael and Ron, thank you very much for making the time to arrive today, for all the preparation and all the knowledge. Thanks again, Adam, if you're still here, for very important information, and it was really lovely to see you. Thank you everyone for showing up and for investing almost 2 hours of your time with us. I will send both presentations and a recording of this webinar, as well as Yael and Adam's numbers, so you can communicate with them directly. Our next webinar will be on Portugal in the coming weeks, in the coming months, so stay tuned. And thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.